Hey guys, Jim Vinosky with Manufacturing Talks. Welcome back. Another great show for you today. We're going to be talking to a couple of guys from United Manufacturing Hub. What they say they do is they bridge the world between IT and OT for manufacturing companies. As we look at digital transformation of manufacturing, these guys bring a really critical message of how to do that, what's important, how to get after it. So I've got Frank Thelen and Alex Krüger with me today. They're going to be going into detail about all of that for UMH, and hopefully you guys find it helpful for your manufacturing world. They'll be with me in just a few seconds, so stay tuned.
Welcome to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinosky. Industry has a million cool stories, and Jim talks to the movers and shakers who are making them happen. Let's dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Manufacturing Talks. I'm Jim Vinosky, your host, and I'm joined today by Frank Thelen. He is the co-founder and CEO of Freigeist, and then Alex Krüger is co-founder and CEO of our topic company today, United Manufacturing Hub. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
Glad to have you here today. It's going to be an exciting conversation.
I hope so.
Absolutely. Very important topic.
Yeah. And so before we jump into all the cool stuff that UMH has going on, why don't each of you tell us about your backgrounds, how you got doing what you're doing today? Let's start with you, Frank.
Absolutely. So yeah, my name is Frank. I'm a serial entrepreneur out of Europe. And I started before the internet, so with CD-ROM productions, multimedia area, so a very long time. And then created during internet area content management systems, shopping systems, and then came the App Store and all those technology waves. And I created several companies, could sell some to Microsoft and other big companies, then changed kind of the roles and became investor. And with Freigeist, with a team, it's three founders who started the VC firm. We invest at an early stage. We only do 1 to maximum 2-3 deals per year because we really are hands-on. So we write the software with the team, we do the design work, we get the first sales pitches going on and so on. So we have a different model, just very few deals. We're around 12 people and really pushing for 18 to 24 months the startups where we invest in. And we don't have LPs, it's all our own money.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. And then Alex, how about you?
Actually studied mechanical engineering. So like everybody who's now doing industrial IoT somehow not started with IT. So studied in a German university. So classical path, trying to build machines, and then quite fast understood that actually there's too little IT for me into that. And from my university directly departed with my now co-founder Jeremy, building a system integrator. So we had a quite great opportunity back then to partner up with a large management consulting firm. So they were like advising clients in digital matters across every business unit, and one of them was manufacturing. And they needed like guys to do actually the technical stuff. So to layer those or get the machines connected, get the data from those machines, integrate into applications. Did it for 2.5 years, building the system integrator, built it up to 13 people. After that, actually transitioned to building a product because we understood it's not another system integrator doing over and over the same stuff and selling it as a project. We want to do it as a product. And yeah, did it then from 2021. I'm the CEO, so more on the commercial side of things, but still a technical person, so don't worry. And Jeremy's covering the technical side of things. And yeah, just raised an investment round with Freigeist because we really want to go all in onto this topic now because we have a good momentum, and therefore we need money to expand faster and to change really something bottom line for the manufacturing environment.
Excellent.
So at Freigeist, we have the luxury to really try to build meaningful companies out of Europe. So we made our returns earlier. So we're trying to build some of them. We have energy storage, for example. We are building European satellites, robots, flying cars with Lilium Aviation, other crazy missions. And when I see the European production, it's dear to my heart because we have to rebuild it, to revive it, because we were basically losing this power it's completely it's ridiculous. If you go into many of European productions, it's paper and pens. You wouldn't believe that as a kind of an office, a normal guy who knows how to write emails. So it's very, very important that we got the data, and as we met UMH, especially with the open source approach, we said this could be really helpful for all European production companies, and then on top use the AI models. But first, you need the data, and that was why we said, okay, that's
and
Europe.
you talk about that being in Europe. I can tell you straight up on the American side that it's the same way here. We have probably, maybe not a majority of companies, but a good plurality of companies that are still largely working through paper.
But then you have those super highlights like Tesla, like SpaceX, like other companies that we don't have, unfortunately, anymore in Europe. But then maybe also even worse, the broad companies are still in the same age as in Europe. That's very bad.
Yeah. So that's a perfect lead in to talking about what it is that United Manufacturing Hub does to alleviate that.
Yeah. So actually help us back then. So when we were like system integrators, the topic was always we need digital use cases to move the bottom line. It was classical one, OEE, to be more productive. It was have automated quality checks to produce at a better quality, and you can do it for every manufacturing KPI that you want to have a digital use case that can improve it. So I think this is the next wave of better will be digital. Problem, it's so hard to connect the existing landscape to those applications. You build over 20 to 30 years your factory, your site, and stitch together like a wild set of systems and machines. And now to build reliable software on top is quite hard. And we understood you need to have like a middle layer that connects to all those machines first, like to really have like this single source of truth of all your manufacturing data, because now you can just consume or produce data back to that to really focus on building applications and providing value. And we try to be that middle ground in between the OT systems and the IT applications, and transmit, store, and provide data and value in the middle to high level. We can double click on that in the second step.
Yep.
It's the important groundwork that has to be done. It's very unsexy, but it's super important. And of course, the possibilities that you get through this, and then say, hey, I have all those fancy AI models, and I truly believe in them. They will bring a lot of value. But first, you need to connect, and that's a ugly, hard groundwork. And here's where UMH comes in and has a lot of experience and hopefully the right platform to get very effectively done.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the show a number of times, about how all the media attention is on factory automation, robots, cobots, that kind of thing, which, certainly not knocking those things. They have a huge part to play in where we need to go into the future. But I think you guys bolster the case that may not be the biggest bang for the buck for a lot of folks out there. And this business process and an automation of how you do your work is at least as important.
You need to also to catch up. This is, I think, one thing that set back OT heavily from IT. You have like these, from the 80s, you diverted into like your own landscape of hardware, software, etc. But in the meantime, IT really evolved fast. Going to containerized architecture, Kubernetes, cloud native, like scalable architectures. And core mission is actually to make the factory environment access to those advancements in IT that we heard over the last year. So in the sense of reliability, scalability, shipment time of new software, you can now ask Claude or ChatGPT, whatever, to build you like a web app from scratch. Think about that, doing that for a shop floor worker who wants to have like a new HMI. So this is the speed of application development that we should aim for, but it's not that easy to do this. Is that true?
And this has happened many times in the industries. When you look, for example, to a company called Dropbox, so they made sharing files very easy for everybody, but the corporate still had those very complex Microsoft infrastructures. And of course, it's now standard in the infrastructure. Or Skype. So video conferencing was big on the consumer side, on the where people are more agile. And of course, today it's also standard in the big corporations. And that's what we see. So the big corporations are on that legacy software databases out of the 80s. You won't believe that, but there's contracts, people trust it, it somehow works. But the world has moved on, and we have so many new great things available, and that's what we wrap in a product and say, now you get the latest and greatest technology, but also reliable for your production floor.
Yeah, and the UMH website says that industrial companies are becoming tech companies. Is it that underlying architecture and the requirement for that to be effective in the future? Is that what you're referring to there?
As a trend that we see and it's the deepest wish that we have. Yeah. So it's we see they want to be more agile on the application development, are still so like they're doing DevOps more on the IT side, but we really believe that you need to become Tesla-ish like also on the shop floor operations side, yeah, to really challenge yourself. Don't rely on only vendors to give you new products. You need to be also able to produce them on your own to really move the needle looking forward. And this is the tech company DNA that we really want to ingest, hope for, and already see in some companies, yeah, to really build, not buy all the products on the shop floor.
Right. And you call out in your literature that Tesla has, 6 times the margin of their competitors?
This didn't age well because they trimmed down their pricing. So I think it doesn't have now yet the same margins. But yeah, so
but they're trimming margins to increase volume, or trimming prices to increase volume, which should also offset that. So
so definitely because it's so
but clearly more effective, right?
This is actually also crazy because normally if you go manufacturing environments, you buy from a system integrator your systems. So you say, please build me that robot that takes part A to place B. But Tesla has a little bit of a different approach. So they have a subsidiary called Tesla Automation, and they really integrate that company because they own the availability, the performance, and the quality of the production facility looking forward. So it's not buy once, have a handover, then you're out, but they really integrate this part of the supply chain into the cut. So just one example, but this is really, really strong, and also on the tech side of things.
Yep. Now, is that one of the fundamental changes that companies will have to make, though, is upping their own internal tech game? Because you're right, mostly in the past, it's largely been outsourced.
This is also so bad. Like I see innovation was outsourced. This is, I think, the core problem. And you have like AI as a wave, and what now happens, you go to an Accenture, to a Deloitte, and buy innovation from them. And this is obviously super unproductive to do it that way. So our wish is that the people, so like the low code wave has the same idea, not sure about the impact, but that you have the tooling for the people inside your organization and upskill them with that so that they're able to deploy software and use cases on their own, because then you can iterate fast, provide value much faster, easier, cheaper. Yeah, this is the future that we are aiming for.
Yeah, and
I mean, the EYs and Deloitte and also the McKinseys and so on, they can help you to be much faster and more effective and have a jump start. But the thing is, it has to become part of your DNA. If the digitalization and the data and knowing exactly how to improve the data that you have and utilize it internally, then you will not survive. And that's something what's not in place today. So people just say, okay, we had a project 2 years ago, or we have currently a project and it's going on, and then it will be done and then it's fine. So you have to have a CIO or whoever in the executive team with full power and big budgets, and it has to become part of your DNA. You digitize everything. This is the new game. You know how to use data. Otherwise, you will be dead very soon. Things are moving fast. When you look at 3D printing, for example, it's also not really taken off, but it's there as a possibility. At the moment, everything gets digitized and so on. So many things are at a certain threshing point where they will now move fast, and things will then rapidly change. And if you don't digitize now, you will be out of business.
Yep. Now, and you both referred to the big consultancies, Accenture and McKinsey and the like, and you can certainly go there to get these advances, but what you get from them is going to be what everyone else gets from them too, right? It's really no competitive advantage.
And you get no capabilities. You get a product or project, but you don't upskill your organization to maintain or improve necessary looking forward. Yeah, they're necessary and they're all good, But outsourcing innovation is, I think, not the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's coming through loud and clear that you can't outsource this anymore. Now, you mentioned data. Clearly, we're swimming in it. Everyone really, and certainly all manufacturers have more data than they know what to do with. What specific changes does UMH help manufacturers to make so they can make their data actionable?
Yeah. So I think it's quantity and quality. I think quantity people have perhaps solved. I think not every piece of information is available, but it's currently in a format available that the people on the IT side doesn't understand. Yeah, you have like a random tag naming, like XYZ means is equals 15, and this then represents two machines in, I don't know, automatic mode. But at the IT side, nobody understands. So what we're trying to do is have the quantity of data reliably available, but on top have like a data model under the ISA 95 structure, so that you can ingest the knowledge of the automation engineer at source, so that he can say this means that, etc. And therefore, like people further down the value chain can still understand and make use of the data. So the context is missing and the quality is low.
Yep. Anything to add there, Frank? Nope, we lost Frank.
Oh no.
We'll keep going, Alex. I think that's what a lot of manufacturers struggle with, is making that leap from the old model where, sure, we collected data and we made use of some of it in these systems that others set up for us, to innovating for ourselves and really determining where the biggest bang for the buck is in the data we have, and then what additional information and technology to unlock that information we need. So is there an element to what UMH does around just educating people, bringing people
Yep.
kind of into the modern world?
Actually, this is, I think, core of our mission, is because as we started back then, it was like everything was so hard to understand. Like the whole IT environment that we're used to, you write great documentation, you have blog articles written, you have a lot of content on YouTube, on wherever. But the OT side of things is actually often locked down behind either like these random sales white papers where you need to provide your email address, get spammed for 5 years,
Right.
but get in a white paper on the quality that you actually would not yet trade your email address for. And so what we're trying to do is we have learn.umh.app is actually a learn platform. And everything that we learned on our journey to the current point we describe in a blog article. So which database we choose, which architecture we choose, how we think about modeling data, and try to, before we execute actually in the product, write about it, get feedback, and also educate people on the other side. So really, actually, to be honest, it's a great sales vehicle for us, because we don't need to say trust us. It's actually, this is what we do, this is what we can do, and this is how perhaps expertise we have.
Mhm.
And on the other side, we are also super open and try to get people on the right path to then interact with the product or like with other products in 1 to 2 years as soon as they are there, but gives them the right information nuggets on the way to educate themselves.
Yep. So let me play devil's advocate here. We referred to the many companies that are currently still largely paper and pen, paper and
Yep.
pencil. What about those companies who hear about this and say, you know what we're doing now is just fine. We're going to be good without making these changes?
Then I find, right? So we don't want to. So back then, when we started with the management consultancy, it was always, we need to educate everybody that needs to be digital. So at every point in your journey, we need to explain why digital is important, what bottom line implications it has, to really get him to the point, okay, now you need like something like this. But we don't try to convince people who don't believe yet or will never think this is important. Yeah, so we provide the content, try to provide value for everybody and on every point of the journey, but not everybody is there. Like, it's an adoption curve. Yeah, it's a bell-shaped curve. There are still innovators, there are early adopters, but there's always like the other half, at least, of people who are still either behind or perhaps they're right, don't want to underwhelm or say they dump because they're not. They have like production that's running and it's running well, so why should change? Perhaps a fair point. But yeah, we try to get them at the right point in time, not convince everybody always.
Okay, and then I know for a fact there are plenty of people out there who keep up with all the literature and understand that this is the direction, but they're overwhelmed. You know, they have no idea how to sort through all these potential opportunities with the path toward digitalizing. What about those people who are in kind of search mode? How do you help them understand what that first step forward is and how to chart a path from there?
Actually, we try to reduce complexity even more. This is also, perhaps we also have been on the wrong path looking back, because we as tech people, we combine even then more tech. Yeah, you need that for that and that for this product for handling that edge case, etc. But we now understand that the people don't want to have even more complexity in their super complex manufacturing environment. So what we do is actually make this type of infrastructure super fast available without a headache. So you can, we have templates for use cases, and we have like the infrastructure that can be up and running in 15 minutes. And therefore, we try to guide them through a product to their first use cases, so that they can do them with little value, not little value, but a little time invest and will extract value. So don't get the heads in the cloud, try to get the hands dirty and try something out, and then iterate from there what is the right use case at the right time, at the right scope for you. So this is a little bit how we see it.
Now, I find that interesting because I know people build up in their minds that it's this huge undertaking and therefore they just kind of kick the can down the road. And what I hear you saying is there are actually things they can do to start down the path that aren't difficult and don't take a lot of time and resources.
And I would also say the argument again, the leaders that we currently observe are not the ones that are like on a 2-year PowerPoint mission to find the ideal architecture and data model. The leaders are actually the ones who started small, tried out, and iterated from there. So they actually a little bit the techies, but also on the other side, people who got their hands dirty are the ones now way smarter on the reality of the problems, and people who only can like top down trying to understand what could be a problem.
And then a piece of what I saw in your literature referred to, let me see it exactly, field-proven components. Can you tell us a little about what you meant there?
So field-proven in IT sense, yeah. So when you would now build a streaming application, like the tool that we're currently using here now to record the podcast session is run on well-proven technologies, for example, like Kubernetes. It streams over a web-based interface. And we now try to do that on the shop floor, yeah? So everything that's reliably scalable already in the wide sense of IT makes it applicable for the engineers on site. So they don't necessarily need to understand, but they can now use best of breed and well-aged also actually components from the IT world and transfer that into their production environment. And yeah, this is what we mean with battle-proven. Battle-proven under 1 million users, 50 million signal updates per second, like the real IT workloads. So it can actually handle the manufacturing workloads quite easy.
Yeah. And then I see things you refer to as what you can help with are really old school or relatively old school things, OEE monitoring, which I think everyone's familiar with, or most people are going to be, but you bring a new angle to that. And then even such basics as resource and energy use monitoring. And so is that where latest tech is giving us an even greater ability to use those older tools, those older measures more effectively?
I would not necessarily say these tools are moving the needle for you faster. So at the end, it's information that needs to be consumed and needs to be acted on. So you see, like, you have a bottleneck at the specific machine. You need to get either a maintenance guy out there to make it more reliable or rebuild the line. So, and the old tools to some degree already did that. So we see the tools more as an either people who don't have the specific tools we can supercharge them with, but more like an inspiration what you could do with it now. So what dashboards you could now build that are not yet there to supercharge your operations. Because we are not the use case guys. Yeah, we are the guys that provide you the tooling to build your own use cases faster and cheaper. And you necessarily don't need to change out every tool that you already have with the new and fancy shiny stuff. This is not how we think you should invest your time and resources.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, okay, you may not be the frontline manufacturing guys, but you understand that world clearly from what you refer to in your literature. You
Definitely
get the manufacturing world.
We get also the people. So OEE is, for example, for an IT guy, it's a KPI. No, it's actually a mixture of pride and plant manager way of thinking. It's somebody calculates the time base, the other one calculates based on output. People don't want to share that KPI actually in between sites because it's not comparable. So there's a lot of hidden arguments and stuff in there that people from classical just IT environments will not understand. So we're trying to merge like the reality, the KPIs, the way of thinking of an environment which is really production heavy, sometimes dirty, to these IT applications.
Yeah. And to me, I'm an old school manufacturing guy. That is the most critical kind of discriminating factor for you guys versus some other competitors is you clearly understand, the day in, day out difficulties that manufacturers encounter, and you're going after that versus people who are coming from the outside in who don't really, like you say, know the manufacturing people, the manufacturing world, and trying to provide solutions that they think are going to help, and in fact, they sometimes don't. So
I think there are also
kudos to you for that.
Two distinct failure modes, actually. I think the failure mode number one is using OT technologies to build as a scalable platform, because then you mostly rely on, let's have a Windows server deployment, do everything in Java. So like the way that they currently do it. But this has then historically some scaling difficulties. On the other side, if you just use IT, so cloud native stuff, you just log into Azure or AWS and try to bring those tools to the shop floor, you also face difficulties. I think key is to balance. So the challenges and the reality of the shop floor of networking, systems, people, pride, whatever, but still combining that with the best practices out of IT to really build a great platform. And this is what we're trying to do.
Yep. Good. So that being said, looking forward, what are the next big opportunities for UMH and for you?
Yeah. So as we are open source, like Frank said it in the beginning, it's not only about the commercial perspective for us. So we're really mission driven to really digitize and improve the manufacturing landscape. So not only in Europe and the US, so everywhere where as a certain, I would say, scale of productivity, quality, because they're not using digital tools. And therefore, the next thing is actually to grow our community even more. So we have shy of 1,000 people currently in our community who are using the tool also actually without paying, a lot of them. So like an open source tool, in contrast to classical enterprise tools, only monetize a small percentage of those people, but we try to build the bubble even higher, so to get more feedback, get more users, get more problems from those. And I think this is really, really critical over the next 1 to 2 years to have the critical mass of users all around the world. We have in Malaysia, in South America, North America, obviously, but Europe, Africa, and have those people, all those eyes on the same problem to build the most battle-proven product out there.
Okay, good enough. Anything we haven't hit on that you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I think we're actually quite well rounded with the podcast to just perhaps position a call to action. It's not a commercial one, so don't worry. It's really actually, if anybody's interested, join the community. So we have a Discord, we have a blog. Feel free to have there also a look. There are hopefully helpful materials and great people to talk to really move the needle together.
Yeah, excellent. Let's definitely get the links for those. I'll put them in the show description so people can navigate over to that. And yeah, I definitely recommend my compatriots in manufacturing to go check out UMH. I think you guys have some excellent stuff going on.
Thanks.
Well, Alex Krüger, thank you so much for being here and sharing what UMH is up to, and especially helping kind of lay out that necessity for folks to be looking at their digital path forward.
Thanks, Jim. It was actually a pleasure to talk to you. Yeah, so really frontline manufacturing focus. I really like that. We need to move the needle on both fronts.
Well, we'll do what we can to help. And of course, as always, thanks to those of you in the audience. You're why we're here. We're here every Tuesday, so tune in next week. We'll have another show for you. I think, Alex was really fundamental to where manufacturing is going. So a core necessary message that he brought to us. I can't promise that every show we have is going to be as necessary and core to manufacturing as this one, but they're all going to be at least a little bit of that. So tune in. We'll be here. We'll make more shows. Hope to see you. Thanks again. Jim Vinosky from Manufacturing Talks. So long.
Thanks for tuning in to Manufacturing Talks with Jim Vinosky. Watch for new episodes dropping every Tuesday. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.